there some kind of? Well, Bruce lives right there. Welcome, everybody. The regular meeting of the board will now come to order. The special meeting, which was noticed today, has been canceled. Let's go down the attendance list. Vice Chairman Lawrence.
Present.
Skip Bryan. Skip. Mike Carroll.
Present.
John Cordisco. Mark Dambley. Tom Ellis is here. Rob Fox. Kevin Johnson.
Here.
Ober Knoble. Bill Leonard. Debbie Mailer. Debbie. All right. Dan Muroff, our newest board members. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Yep.
Esteban Vera. And I see Martina's white her logo's up. So Martina, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A lot of paper here, Leslie. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you to everyone who is joining us for this month's board meeting. Please note that board met in executive session just prior to this meeting, discussed legal matters. I hope everyone had a great summer. I think we have some great things to look forward to as well as this fall. I would like to start off by welcoming our newest board member, Dan Muroff. Dan is from media and has been appointed to serve as the representative from Delaware County. Welcome, Dan. Dan has over 25 years of political and policy experience at the local, state, and federal levels. He has worked in senior government roles in both Harrisburg and Washington, D.C. Dan, as I'm sure you are aware, we are very busy right now, so in both of those cities, this is great timing from all of us. Welcome to SEPTA board. Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
I would also like to recognize the man that Dan is replacing, Tom Babcock. Not only has Tom been a great friend, but let me just read the recognition stuff here for him. His service to the board: Tom has served Delaware County in this region with distinction for his 21 years on the board. He has served leadership roles, including vice chairman during some of our really challenging times. He always looked out for the best interests of our customers, communities, and taxpayers that fund this authority. Tom, not only being a friend, but also being a friend and a great asset to SEPTA. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great run.
Great.
And I wish everybody the best going forward.
You're welcome to stay on again in case you just want to listen.
I don't think so.
Again,
Take care. Thanks again, Pat.
You've been great. You've been great, Tom. Thank you. As I mentioned, this is an important time for the future of public transportation. Decisions at the state and federal level will determine whether SEPTA and the vehicles and infrastructure support the region's transportation needs will go forward. Well, while we're optimistic for the passage of a federal infrastructure bill, I just got a text from Dwight Evans, so I think they're working on it right now. We all hope it goes through, but I want to thank the members of our regional congressional delegation for supporting SEPTA's priorities and working to secure increased capital funding for transit in the package. We look forward to putting this investment to work for their customers and the community. I will say that the work between Republicans and Democrats knows no party lines here, and our congressional staff and senators have been great for us. So we only need to look back to the beginning of this month when Hurricane Ida passed through our region to see how the city, how critical SEPTA service is and how susceptible our infrastructure is to extreme weather. On behalf of the SEPTA board, I want to thank all the employees who worked around the clock to restore service for our riders. Thank you guys again. It really saved the day, particularly Montgomery County. Finally, SEPTA joins the nation in celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm pleased to share that tomorrow, SEPTA board member Esteban Vera is participating in Latinos in Transit panel discussion entitled Lighting the Way to Equity. Esteban, thank you for representing SEPTA board and for sharing your insights on this important topic with the others in our industry. All right, Now we move on to the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the July 22nd regular and special board meetings. These minutes have been circulated. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Resolution's adopted. Move on to the financial report. Mr. Burnfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Revenue for the first 2 months of fiscal year '22 was $1.5 million above the reduced revenue budget levels that were adopted as part of the budget this year. At the end of August, transit ridership is approximately 50% of pre-COVID levels, and regional rail ridership is about 30% of pre-COVID levels. Operating expenses for the first 2 months are $1 million below budget. With significant federal COVID relief funding providing operating assistance, SEPTA has been able to operate with a balanced budget for the first 2 months of the fiscal year. This concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you, Rich. I'll entertain a motion that the financial report be received and filed.
So moved. Second.
Any comments or corrections or questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The August financial report is received and filed. All right, please note that all written comments and voicemail messages that have been received will be included in the official board meeting transcript, which we then posted to the SEPTA website. I think we have one speaker on today's agenda, Mr. Daniel Trubman. Mr. Trubman,
Hi, can you hear me?
you can.
I just wanted to speak today about the contract for the with the Edens Corporation for the ticket attendants, and I think it's truly pathetic after more than $300 million, 10 years of development, and a few dozen change orders on the SEPTA Key program. This board continues to double down on an outdated regional rail system. We have been told for years that the board can't find the money to install ticket vending machines at all or even more of the system's train stations. But then here we are spending more money than ever on ticket attendants at a handful of stations. As the rest of the world has realized that regional rail is an outdated model because it's based entirely on serving commuters, SEPTA continues to double down instead of trying to serve all riders, including those who aren't available to buy tickets on weekday mornings. So I'm just very disappointed that instead of prioritizing ticket vending machines that would allow people to buy tickets at all times of the day, we continue to throw money at an outdated model just because some current riders like to pretend it's still the 1950s. So I would like the board to consider going forward ways that prioritize not just commuters, but all workers, all riders, and prioritize more budgets for ticket vending machines so we can move away from a system where people have to go up and buy tickets from an attendant because it's not the 1950s or the 1920s anymore. This is a contract that's grown in cost year after year, even though we've already invested so many funds into the SEPTA Key. So please consider going back to having vending machines. You already have them in much of this transit side of the system, and you've had them in the past. So I think it's really unacceptable that on the one hand, you say there's no money for ticket vending machines and a different operating model. And on the other hand, you're still throwing millions of dollars each month at ticket attendants who are only available at a handful of stations for a handful of hours on certain days of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tubman. Let's move on to the consent calendar, which consists of renewal of property insurance for the Transit Rail Division and Builders Risk Insurance for various projects, additional placement of bridge insurance and Terrorism Risk Act coverage, award of contract pursuant to request for proposals, individual site agreements between SEPTA and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for telecommunications facilities and related equipment along SEPTA's railroad right-of-way on the median Elwyn line near Wallingford and Glen Riddle stations in Delaware County. Proposed modification and declaration of easement between SEPTA and Blue Devil Realty LLC pertaining to a parcel of property adjoining SEPTA's Clifton Alden Regional Rail Station located in Alden, Delaware County. Authorization to award contracts for various procurements, award of contracts for sole source procurements, and authorization to execute change orders and amendments. All the items on the consent calendar have been reviewed by the appropriate board committees in public session. I'll entertain a motion to adopt these resolutions.
So moved. Second.
Is there any abstentions?
Mr. Chairman, I want to abstain on 1B2.
Any discussions? I'll call the question. Is there any, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. Report of the general manager, CEO.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chairman Dion. Last month, we began discussions with TWU Local 234 on a new contract. TWU represents many of our employees who ensured our system operated every day during the pandemic. Our hope is to be able to align soon on a responsible contract that recognizes the hard work and sacrifice of our TWU employees and also preserves SEPTA's long-term viability and the future employment of all of our more than 9,000 workers across the region. I look forward to what we can achieve in these negotiations and to provide stability to our employees and to the region. Next, I'd like to give a little update on Tropical Storm Ida. Chairman Dion mentioned a bit in his remarks as well. And as we all know, the region felt the effects of this huge storm earlier this month, as Tropical Storm Ida pummeled our area with tornadoes, torrential rain, and massive flooding. I want to give a shout out to all the SEPTA employees who were responsive and dedicated during Ida, especially our EM&C folks. While our system was impacted by the storm, our engineering, maintenance, and construction employees did an exceptional job of keeping us moving where we could and ensuring we were back up and running completely as soon as we could. That means so much to our riders who depend on our service. Their professionalism and hard work in ensuring the resiliency of our system gives the public great confidence in SEPTA, and I want to thank everybody who worked so hard. We're doing everything we can to prepare for the return of our customers. Based on discussions with employers in the region as well as our customer surveys, we know people are beginning to return to the workplace. This fall through the end of the year, we expect to see more and more people back in their office, and we've already seen a gradual but steady increase in ridership. Now is a critical time for SEPTA as we work hard to welcome more riders back. I want to thank all of our employees who participated in the Ambassadors Program, turning out at stations to offer a warm welcome to our customers. We know our customers need to feel safe to return to the system, and that's why SEPTA personnel have been actively engaging customers about the importance of wearing face coverings and compliance with the mask mandate. I'm happy to report the compliance with the mask mandate remains at a very high level. The authority will also continue with enhanced cleaning efforts for vehicles and stations. Our buses, trains, and trolleys are very well ventilated. Air fully changes on all vehicles every 2 to 3 minutes due to a combination of efficient HVAC systems and doors opening frequently for customers to board and exit. This rate of air exchange far exceeds the CDC recommendations for indoor public spaces. Our latest customer travel surveys show that riders recognize and appreciate our efforts and have shared that they have confidence in the way SEPTA has been addressing the pandemic. We will do all we can to continually earn that trust, and we truly appreciate our riders and customers helping us do the best job that we can with their valuable feedback. As you know, we continue to do everything we can in regards to the challenges from the vulnerable population. During the pandemic, people experiencing homelessness, addiction, mental illness are seeking refuge on our system. Rather than approach this purely as a law enforcement problem, we forged partnerships with nonprofits, universities, and the city to connect people to community-based resources. Through our SAVE program, as well as our SCOPE program, which stands for Safety, Cleaning, Ownership, Partnerships, and Engagement, we're working to address the near-term challenges of our vulnerable population, as well as the longer-term goal of bringing both riders and the city's economy back. After 6 months, we are seeing encouraging results. I want to thank all the board members for approving additional outreach workers and supporting staff to service our 5-county service area. These outreach workers will work in coordination with and respond to requests from our SEPTA police officers, elevator attendants, station cashiers, and maintenance and custodial employees to engage members of our vulnerable population at specific locations. This allows us to both extend and continue the work we initiated earlier this year. These efforts not only help our vulnerable population, they provide a healthier work environment for our employees and make our system more welcoming to our customers. As we're working hard to bring back riders in the near term, we're also looking at ways to evolve SEPTA better to suit our riders' needs and support the region's economy. Through SEPTA Forward, our strategic plan, we're embarking on initiatives. These include our trolley modernization and King of Prussia Rail, reimagining regional rail as part of a lifestyle network of frequent all-day and all-week services that connect people to a range of destinations across the region. Reimagining regional rail will create a vision of what that looks like and will identify the infrastructure, equipment, operations, and policies needed. We are implementing a new rail transit wayfinder master plan, including a series of tools designated and designed to make SEPTA easier to use, regardless of familiarity, language, or ability. New consistent signage will make SEPTA easier to use for existing riders as well as more welcoming for new riders and visitors. And of course, our comprehensive bus network redesign, better known as Bus Revolution, will take a broad and detailed look at SEPTA's bus network with the goal of making it easier to understand as well as to use. So for all of these efforts to be successful, SEPTA needs the input of our riders and our employees. I encourage everyone to visit our website, take surveys, and weigh in at our pop-up events. We can't do it alone, and we want to hear from you. So please help us make sure that we move into the future together as best way as possible. And lastly, I'd like to mention a few employee recognitions. This is one of my favorite parts of my report. I love to recognize our employees who make us proud, and there's a lot to report out today. First of all, we had our General Manager's Customer Service Award honorees, where I had the honor of celebrating 14 exceptional employees. This program recognizes employees who provide outstanding service that inspires and reflects SEPTA's mission and spirit. They range in service from 2 years here to 27. And they include Ashley Lee, Barbara Scott, Brian Greer, Brian Sproul, Deandra Johnson, Frederick Gilmore, Gregory Hall, Guy Harris, Joy Adams, Karen Nasir, Lisa Summers, Randolph Richardson, Robert Sims, and Ronald Jackson. We got to celebrate their accomplishments. They're helping people use our system, feel comfortable going out of their way to help others, and we truly appreciate it. I also want to acknowledge SEPTA's bus rodeo star. Some of you may know him, John Rinulo, who is retiring tomorrow. John is a Southern District bus operator who won more SEPTA bus rodeos than any other operator in SEPTA's history. He competed in his first rodeo in 1985 and went on to compete in a total of 31, winning 26 of them. He always comes in either first, second, or third. We want to congratulate John, and we're happy you could be with us here on your last day here, last week, I should say. Thanks for representing us and making us winners across the country. Lastly, I'd like to recognize one of our SEPTA Transit police officers. This is National Suicide Prevention Month, and I'm pleased to report that one of our own SEPTA Transit police officers, Anthony Brandon, used his skills, empathy, and quick thinking to save a man's life. On August 28th of this year at 6:15 in the morning, a man believed to be under the influence of drugs was acting erratically at 69th Street Transportation Center. He refused to answer questions, to follow directions, and when emergency services arrived, he climbed onto the roof of the inbound train platform. The man was distraught and very clearly in crisis. Trains were stopped and the power in the track area was shut down while the officers tried to speak with him. Multiple attempts were made to establish a rapport with the man, but were unsuccessful. Transit police officer Anthony Brandon got the man's attention, and the man indicated that he didn't trust police. To make the man more comfortable, Officer Brandon took off his police shirt and laid on the ground in the rain while talking to the man. They were able to make a connection. Officer Brandon was able to eventually convince the man to come off the roof and go to the hospital for much-needed treatment. So we want to thank Officer Brandon for thinking quickly, for thinking compassionately, and for his commitment to saving this man's life and for going above and beyond in your job. We appreciate you, and we're very proud of what you've done. My last comments for these were, I don't know if you were clapping. And my last ending comments are this. I was hoping to be able to congratulate everyone on a big win of the Eagles over the Cowboys, but sadly that is not possible. But I do want to welcome our Eagles fans back to SEPTA. They came out big, and we know that this can be an enjoyable part of their experience. We hope to see you all out on the system this weekend as the Eagles takes on Kansas City on Sunday. So go Birds, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
You didn't have a lot of enthusiasm in that Go Birds thing, okay? We have to-
Go Birds.
We have to pick that up a little bit.
Beat the Kansas City Chiefs. What else do you need me to say?
Okay. Great stuff with the employees. John, I don't know who's going to take over your spot, but, it's been fun watching you win all these years, so congratulations on your retirement. We have some speakers today. Let's start off with Andrew Davies. Go
Great,
on.
thank you very much. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Andrew. I'm a member of Fifth Square and a lifelong Philadelphian. I grew up in Germantown and now live in Point Breeze in South Philadelphia. More than anything, in both my childhood neighborhood in Germantown and my new neighborhood of Point Breeze, I hear a big complaint about a lack of parking. And I think that we all know that the way to improve life for everyone, including drivers, is by improving public transit so that that is a viable option for everyone in all neighborhoods. Viewed in the city both by bicycle, bus, subway, and regional rail. And the differences between the systems are confusing and make it difficult for people to live and thrive with public transit. So I support the Wayfinding Master Plan, which seeks to unify some of these systems and make them simpler and easier to use. The new transit maps and signage proposals in SEPTA's Wayfinding Master Plan are a great step to improving navigation for riders. Buses are so important to making Philadelphia an accessible, sustainable city for everyone. And I hope that SEPTA will continue to make sure that everyone has access to fast, reliable, and frequent bus service. I also want to thank everyone for the JFK and Market Street bus-only lanes and the impact that they have on making the city safer and more livable for everyone. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Davies. Cameron Adamez.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. Good on you. I'm a transit committee member with Fifth Square. I would like to congratulate the Wayfinding team for their hard work overhauling the system signage and navigation. This is an excellent direction for the agency, and I hope that the rest of SEPTA will be able to implement Metro as shown. I want to see the work of reimagining regional rail, bus revolution, and the trolley modernization come to life. On another note, I would like to see Key 2.0 move away from using an integrated debit card and move back into a more traditional IC card, such as the Clipper in San Francisco, Tap in Los Angeles, and Suica in Tokyo. Suica is SUICA. All three of these can also integrate with Apple Pay and Google Pay with an express transit mode. As a vendor, I'm uncomfortable giving a sheet of terms and conditions for a single key card. SEPTA or Conduent has conflated the issue of underbanked people or people in precarious financial situations with the questionable debit card feature. It would be better for people to be given IC cards through government assistance programs or place more kiosks in important transfer areas. Using plain IC cards would also make the vendor program less daunting. I understand that the entire process will be time-consuming, but the work is already underway, and SEPTA should support these efforts wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, excuse it, Samasek? No? Will Tung. Mr. Tung?
Hi, yes. Good afternoon. My name is Will Tung. I'm speaking on behalf of Fifth Square. I live in the King's Essing neighborhood of Southwest Philly, and with SEPTA's Reimagining Regional Rail Initiative. We applaud SEPTA's leadership's openness to adapting the system to better serve the riders of today. As evident by dismal ridership numbers, regional rail service today is too infrequent and expensive to serve the needs of many riders throughout the region. And we at Fifth Square support any moves to make it more of a walk-up service like the bus or subway. I personally live in Southwest Philadelphia. I commute to Chinatown, and I think about this disparity whenever I'm waiting for the trolley and I see the regional rail train at 49th Street Station. The train would be faster and Jefferson Station's closer to my destination, but honestly, it's not worth triple the fare. And seeing the station always empty, even before the pandemic, my neighbors also find this out of their reach. Besides me, there are riders spending hours every day taking the bus when we have a reliable and fast regional rail system serving the exact same neighborhoods. So SEPTA can take steps today towards integrating its regional rail lines with the rest of the system by matching regional rail fares with transit fare within Philadelphia through better scheduling of its trains to serve riders beyond the traditional 9 to 5 commuter, and making sure that any capital expenditures also match this end goal. Buying railroad cars that can deliver this type of service and prioritizing high-level platforms on stations and lines serving high-density neighborhoods. I also want to thank SEPTA for its wayfinding initiative. As a SEPTA customer, I can tell you that the system isn't exactly user-friendly right now, and even more tough when trying to give directions to friends and family who visit from out of town. And these wayfinding changes are long overdue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tung. Yasha Z. I was going to try the full name, but I'm not up to it today, Yasha.
No worries, Chairman Dion. I appreciate the willingness to do so. Thank you so much for taking the time for allowing us to speak. My name is Yasha Zarenkelk, and as most of you know, I'm the coalition manager and organizer with Transit for Philly. I live in Southwest Philadelphia, and I regularly ride the 2 and the Broad Street line. Today, though, I'm here to speak on behalf of Transit for Philly about the need for transit agencies like SEPTA to step up and push our PA General Assembly to find a sustainable source of funding for Pennsylvania's public transit agencies. We at Transit for Philly, alongside our statewide partners, Pittsburghers for Public Transit, Fifth Square, the Amalgamated Transit Union, and the Philly Transit Riders Union, have been working tirelessly to expand Pennsylvania's public transit systems to grow our economy and connect more Pennsylvanians to jobs, healthcare, and essential needs. Our platform is called Transit for All PA, and we are a broad coalition of transit riders, workers, and advocacy groups who are working to increase public transit funding for Pennsylvanians. In June of this year, we held a rally on the steps of the Capitol calling upon our state legislators to support sufficient funding for public transit. We are organizing riders across the state and have sent over 400 letters to our state legislators asking them to give public transit the resources that it needs to connect Pennsylvanians to jobs and essential services. Dozens of elected officials have signed on to our platform so far, including 2 members of our own city council, Derek Green and Helen Gim. In addition, legislators in Harrisburg, like State Representatives Ben Sanchez, Chris Rabb, Joe Hohenstein, Jennifer O'Mara, Rick Kudrowski, as well as State Senators Nikhil Saval, John Kane, and Tim Kearney have all signed on. Our platform has broad appeal and the potential to move Philadelphia and SEPTA forward. Our platform seeks $1.65 billion annually in order to replace the current $450 million that is given to PA transit agencies per the regulations listed out in Act 89. $1.65 billion has been identified by the Pennsylvania Public Transportation Association as the current backlog and amount of funding needed to bring PA transit agencies to a state of good repair. We believe that these funds should be raised through progressive tax measures that work to protect the thousands of low-income riders across the state. SEPTA riders who rely on the system every day deserve accessible and affordable public transit and should not be penalized for utilizing a public good. We hope that SEPTA and its board will seriously review and consider the Transit for All Pennsylvania platform, as it would expand and improve transit access for everyone in the greater Philadelphia region. This level of investment will bolster the state's public transit trust fund and help support all of the amazing projects that SEPTA is currently working on, like the Wayfinding Master Plan, the Bus Revolution, Reimagining Regional Rail, and Key 2.0. Projects like SEPTA's Rail Wayfinding Master Plan, which Transit Forward Philly fully supports and encourages the board to move forward with, are all possible when the state has discrete and dedicated funding for public transit. The Wayfinding Master Plan will give thousands of limited English proficiency riders, first-time and lifelong riders, and riders with hearing and vision impairments a well-needed boost in utilizing SEPTA's rail transit network. Investing in transit projects like these will lead to Philadelphians seeing SEPTA as a reliable and affordable form of transportation. This will not only increase people's access to jobs and essential services, but it will also help Philadelphia meet its climate change goals and reduce traffic congestion throughout the city. We at Transit Forward Philly want to express our excitement and support of all these planning initiatives and want to recognize the hard work of Jody Holton, Cynthia Cece Hayes, Daniel Nemiroff, Lex Powers, and Ryan Judge for their lead on these other undertakings. Transit Forward Philly is grateful for the opportunities we have had in providing input on each of these planning projects. Finally, we also want to shout out General Manager Leslie Richards for following through on her commitment to equity and making these projects a priority. We hope that trolley modernization will be next on the list. We thank you so much for your time and hope that the SEPTA board will read over our Transit for All PA platform at www.transitforallpa.org and considering using your political power to break the current transit funding status quo and fund public transit for every single Pennsylvanian and Philadelphia. Thank you.
All right, Yasha, thank you. Elliot Mysiak.
Hi everyone, my name is Elliot Messick. I live in Delaware County and I just graduated from Penn, and I'm also a member of the Transit Forward Philadelphia Coalition. I regularly ride the Norristown High Speed Line and the Market Frankfurt Line, and today I'm speaking on behalf of Transit Forward Philadelphia about our Better Access, Better Service, and Better Buses campaign. Transit Forward Philadelphia is excited by the bus-only lane pilot project that was recently installed at JFK and Market. We're grateful to the city and to SEPTA for working to make bus service better in Philadelphia. Thousands of people rely on SEPTA's buses every day to access jobs, education, healthcare, and other essentials. When traffic and congestion make buses late, slow, and unreliable, SEPTA riders suffer. This disproportionately impacts Black and Latino communities, working class people, and the elderly and disabled, all of whom use SEPTA at higher rates. Bus lanes along one of the city's busiest corridors will make buses in Center City faster and more reliable and benefit hundreds of bus riders. Prioritizing buses will also reduce congestion, improve air quality, and boost transit ridership, which are all things that make Philadelphia a better place to live. SEPTA's Bus Revolution is another initiative to improve Philly's buses that Transit Forward Philadelphia is excited about. SEPTA's bus riders will all benefit from faster, more reliable, and more frequent bus service, and we are glad that SEPTA and Philadelphia are making this project a priority. We're also glad to see that SEPTA is committed to community outreach and engagement this time around in redesigning its network. Understanding the needs and preferences of Philadelphia's many communities is critical to designing a bus network that works for everyone, and we are encouraged that SEPTA is taking the steps necessary to engage the people they serve. In Black, Latino, and low-income communities, access to transit is crucial to mobility, yet too often it is these same communities that suffer from underinvestment in transportation options. We hope that SEPTA will continue to put the needs of these communities first as it redesigns the bus network and continue its outreach. We have also been involved in community outreach. Thousands of people have taken our bus rider survey, and in partnership with Philly DSA, we have volunteers canvassing at different transit centers throughout the city over
Mr.
the past
Mysick,
few months.
we have a long agenda today, so can you wrap it up for me? Because we
Yes.
kind of covered this stuff before, so if you could, it'd be welcomed.
Okay, yeah. So we just want to say buses are so important to making Philadelphia a livable, sustainable city, and we're encouraged that SEPTA is investing time and resources into engagement as it redesigns its bus network. Thank you.
We're on the same page. Thank you. Patrick Garud. Mr. Garrett, are you on? Is he on? Hello? I will go back to him. Mr. Height, Bakari Height? Not on? Effectivo Publico. That sounds like a made-up name there, by the way, okay? I just want to point that out to you, okay? It's Joe Kelly. Casera Robar? No? Ross Marinaro?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're on.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, how's it going? I live at the 5600 block of Market Street, and I've been having issues with the Market Frankfurt line with the whistle. It just I have called countless times customer service complaining about this. I've talked to Bob Kent about this. I've talked to several City Hall Council members, Derek Green, a couple others. But the horn whistle is so freaking loud. I'm really sick of this. I'm a software developer and I work from home. I would love for any of you to just sit in my seat and try software development while the Market Frankfurt line train goes boom at like 4:45 in the morning, all day long, at night. I'm sick of it. It's unbelievable. It needs to stop. I've been complaining about this for a while. Nothing changes. It just goes in one ear and out the other. I've heard excuses, not solutions.
Franny, will you reach out to this gentleman after the meeting and see what you can do?
We'll follow up on him for sure.
Perfect.
Bob worked for me.
Thank you. Carol Drazen. Carol?
Yes, if I can be heard. My name is Carol Drazen, and I live in Queen Village in Philadelphia. Philadelphia desperately needs better signage. What exists is often badly placed, illegible, inconsistent, incorrect, or simply lacking. I'm strongly in favor of the new wayfinding proposals. My own background includes work in environmental graphic design. Among other projects, I was the co-designer of the 1990s New Jersey Transit Sign Standards Manual and installation. The current wayfinding project has proposed a coherent and viable system with a clean and easily readable new font and a systematic program of signage for identification and directional wayfinding. There are still small issues to resolve, and the scope of the project is huge, including analysis of each station and transit stop to identify where sign placement is appropriate. But I feel it will truly enhance the presence of SEPTA as we all work to bring back ridership and bring SEPTA service to the entire community. One thing I love about the new wayfinding plan is the simplification of the route names with colors and letters. B for Broad Street line makes good sense, and using L for the Market Frankfurt line is a perfect way to make the SEPTA metro system truly local and Philadelphian. Another issue that concerns me is the complicated and inherently unequal fare structure. With commuter patterns changing and even more occasional or new riders, SEPTA should offer equitable fares and a payment system that is easier to navigate. For example, how do you communicate the difference between a convenience pass and an independence pass? This kind of issue needs to be resolved to help SEPTA come back stronger than ever. Thank you very much for your time.
Actually, very good comments. Franny, can you reach out to her too? I think I'd like to hear a little bit more from her on what she thinks coming from her experience. Theo Banks.
Hey, good
Banks?
afternoon. Yes, I'm here. My name is Theo Banks. I'm speaking on behalf of Fifth Square, and I live in the Sharswood neighborhood of North Philadelphia. Fifth Square congratulates SEPTA on the release of the Wayfinding Master Plan and eagerly awaits its implementation in the coming years on rail transit lines. This plan greatly improves the rider experience by making it easier to navigate SEPTA's many rail transit lines. The plan will unify the Broad Street subway, Market Frankfurt L, trolleys, and Norristown high-speed line into a single, seamless, high-frequency network for the first time, while clarifying signage and directions across these lines used by nearly 500,000 daily riders. This new wayfinding plan is a small but vital element in our hope and vision for SEPTA to operate as a seamless, unified system. As many people in our region begin to travel more to jobs, schools, services, and to visit family and friends, we as a city and region need to return to using transit and to use it in ways that we may not have before the pandemic. The new wayfinding will undoubtedly ease that transition. SEPTA has had a long-standing and deserved reputation for being difficult to navigate for first-time riders, and this new plan will go a long way towards solving that problem. Riding SEPTA shouldn't be a secret held only by longtime Philadelphians. It needs to be as easy to use as possible. People who cannot read or who are colorblind should be able to navigate the system for the first time as easily as someone who has lived here all their life. Our priorities as transit advocates is for SEPTA to provide clean, safe, frequent, and reliable transit service that will retain its current riders and attract new ones. This wayfinding plan is a major step in that direction and can help grow ridership by showing folks that transit can be effortless to use. We look forward to working with SEPTA to make this bold new plan a reality for all its riders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Vaughn Campbell.
Hi,
Vaughn.
my name is Vaughn. I live in Mantua in West Philly. I'm a regular rider of the trolley, the L, and the bus network. I also just wanted to share some praise today for the new wayfinding proposal. I remember moving to Philly and taking, quite a while to get my feet under me to navigate the transit system. And I'm still thrown anytime I have to deviate from what I usually do. Just as an example, a couple of weeks ago, my partner's family came to visit and we were showing them around Philadelphia. We were coming back from lunch and we spent maybe 15 or 20 minutes walking back and forth blocks above and below ground, just trying to catch the trolley at 13th Street, a couple of blocks over from where I usually get it. The whole time, unsure if we were going the right direction, worried that we were going to swipe into the L platform and then get stuck having wasted a fare and not be able to get over to the trolleys, whether we'd end up in the right place and so on. And again, that's all because I was boarding on the opposite side of City Hall from what I usually do. I mean, small changes. Um, that's a pain. We made it having two people who regularly ride the system. But if my partner and I had not been there, I don't know if a family visiting Philly for the first time would have been able to make it just from Center City to my house. And I think about that. Some folks are coming to visit soon, and I'm gonna go pick them up from the airport. They should be able to take SEPTA. But it's just really confusing for first time riders, and that makes it tough to reliably know that someone's gonna show up. That's just one example, but it's all to say I'm very happy to hear about the wayfinding plan. I really think in terms of attracting new riders, it's one of the most important things SEPTA can do. I definitely also hope to see physical infrastructure improvements in the future, but keeping folks from getting lost at stations is going to cut travel times in a real sense as well. And it's also going to dramatically lower the stress for folks using the system for the first time. Really look forward to seeing it rolled out. I hope that gets started as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That's all. You want us to take roll one more time? For all the board members who got on later, don't know how to unmute themselves, I'm going to take roll call one more time. Vice Chairman Lawrence.
Present.
Skip Bryan. Skip. Mike Carroll.
Present.
John Cordisco.
Present.
Mark Dambley. Tom Ellis.
Here.
Rob Fox.
Here.
Kevin Johnson.
Here.
Ober Knodel.
Here.
Bill Leonard. Bill Leonard. Debbie Mailer.
Here.
Jim Muroff.
Here.
Esteban Vera. I saw him on there. All right, Representative White. I see her on there too. So she's on. Okay, we good? Okay, I'll hear a motion to adjourn from anybody.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.